What if I told you that the pain you feel is not a mistake, but a call from your soul? Carl Jung believed that every suffering has a hidden purpose, a secret plan hatched by your unconscious to lead you to your true essence. Get ready. After this video, you'll never look at your pain the same way again. Stop crying for your pain. Stop playing the victim. Your soul is testing you, and you are failing the test. Carl Jung discovered a brutal truth that most people don't have the courage to accept. Their pain isn't random. It is surgical, intentional. Your unconscious is using every suffering as a tool to break down who you think you are and reveal who you can truly become. Do you want to know why you always attract the same toxic situations? Why do you always get hurt in the same way? Because your soul has a plan, and it won't stop until you awaken. Every trauma is a lesson not learned. Every disappointment is an ignored call. Every moment of pain is your unconscious screaming, "Wake up, you're living a lie." Jung called it individuation, but I call it soul surgery. Painful, necessary, transformative. Today you will understand the secret code of your pain and finally stop being held hostage to your own suffering. 1. Your pain chose you. Do you want to know the truth that no one has the courage to tell you? Her pain was not an accident. She hunted you. It chased you. She found you because you had something she needed to break. Carl Jung discovered something that will blow your mind. Your soul uses pain as a weapon to destroy who you pretend to be and reveal who you really are. Forget this story of a victim of circumstances. Your soul is a professional killer. She identified your weaknesses, mapped out your lies, studied your masks, and then sent you exactly the pain needed to destroy everything that is false in you. Each suffering was a clear shot at his fake persona. Jung revealed that the unconscious operates as a military intelligence system. It doesn't attack randomly, it selects strategic targets. That betrayal that broke you, a sure shot at his unhealthy need for approval. That abandonment that destroyed you, nuclear bomb in your emotional dependence. That humiliation that crushed you, Granada in its arrogance disguised as self-esteem. Your pain chose you because you were living a lie, and your soul does not tolerate falsehood. She preferred to break you than let you rot in a life of make-believe. She preferred to humiliate you than see you squander your real potential. She preferred to abandon you than keep you in a prison of illusions. Jung's deep psychology is brutal. Your soul knows your true greatness and will use any method necessary to force you to achieve it. She knows you have enough power to survive the impact and enough wisdom to decode the message. Pain does not attack the weak, it tests the warriors. Every trauma you experienced carried a secret code. Each suffering was a disguised lesson. Every moment of despair was his soul screaming, "Stop living like an imposter. Stop accepting crumbs. Stop hiding from your real power." You were chosen for specific experiences because your soul detected potential for radical transformation in you. It does not waste ammunition on people who do not have the capacity to evolve. If you are suffering, it is because there is a sleeping giant inside you waiting to wake up. Jung discovered that the wound is the place where the light enters. Your pain didn't come to destroy you, it came to set you free. Every trauma contains the antidote to your unconsciousness. Each suffering carries the keys to your mental prison. But you need to stop crying and start investigating. Your soul has chosen you for an impossible mission, to become who you really are in a world that has trained you to be who you are not. She won't stop bothering you until you accept the challenge. Each time you ignore the call, it increases the voltage. Each time you run away from the truth, it creates a bigger crisis. The question is not why me. The question is, what does my soul want me to become? Stop resisting the process. Your pain chose you because you are strong enough to turn it into power. 2. The secret plan. Get ready to uncover the most shocking conspiracy of your life. Your soul is a terrorist. It has planted strategic bombs in your existence and is detonating one at a time to force you to awaken. Carl Jung has unmasked this clandestine operation that is happening inside you right now. Your soul is not this cute spiritual entity that you imagine. She is a military strategist who has drawn up a war plan against everything that is false in her life. She identified your weaknesses, mapped out your illusions, studied your self-destructive patterns, and then created a schedule of controlled destruction to free you from your own mental prison. Jung revealed that there is a hidden project operating in his life with surgical precision. Every toxic person you have attracted has been sent to expose their unhealed wounds. Every opportunity you missed was sabotaged to force you to question your priorities. Every moment of despair was time to break their resistance to change. Your soul's secret plan has 3 military operations. Operation Demolition. Destroy your fake persona. Your soul will attack everything that is theater in your life. It's going to blow up relationships based on lies. It's going to sabotage careers that don't represent your essence. It's going to create earthquakes that force you to stop pretending to be who you're not. Operation Exposure. Brutal confrontation with his shadow. Your soul will drag you into an appointment with your inner demons. It will attract people who mirror your most disgusting flaws. It will create situations that reveal your most repugnant hypocrisy. It will expose your contradictions until you stop running away from your own darkness. Operation Reconstruction. Rebirth of your real identity. After demolishing the false and exposing the hidden, your soul can finally build the authentic. This is the phase where you stop fighting who you are and start living from your true power. Most people interpret this war as bad luck. They think they're being punished when in fact they are being released. They resist the plan instead of collaborating with it. They fight against the current instead of learning to surf the storm. Jung discovered that when you understand that your soul is conspiring in your favor, you stop being a victim and become an accomplice. You begin to see the patterns behind the chaos. You realize that each tragedy is redirection. Each failure is course correction. Each end of the world is the beginning of a new era. Your soul is not trying to make you happy, it is trying to make you free. Happiness is a byproduct, not a goal. The goal is radical authenticity. It's about you becoming the most powerful and integrated version of yourself, even if it means going through hell. Your soul's secret plan is relentless because it loves you too much to let you rot in a mediocre life. Stop fighting the conspiracy. Start collaborating with her. 3 patterns that destroy. Have you ever realized that your life is a movie that repeats itself? Same characters, same drama, same shit. Does it just change the scenery? Carl Jung figured out why you're stuck in this hellish loop. You're being controlled by unconscious patterns that operate like mental viruses, infecting every area of your life until you wake up and break the code. These patterns are not coincidence, they are programming. Your unconscious mind has been running the same toxic software for years, attracting the same situations, the same people, the same problems because you haven't yet learned the lesson they came to teach. It's like a video game where you get stuck in the same level until you defeat the final boss. Jung identified that these destructive patterns are like psychic magnets. You emit a specific frequency based on your unhealed wounds, and the universe responds by sending you exactly the experiences that resonate with that frequency. You attract narcissists because you have a wound of abandonment. You attract manipulators because you have a rejection wound. You attract situations of humiliation because you have a wound of inadequacy. The most shocking thing is that you are addicted to these patterns. Your conscious mind hates suffering, but your unconscious is addicted to the familiarity of pain. It's more comfortable to repeat a familiar pattern, even if it's destructive, than to face the unknown of a different life. You prefer the familiar hell to the unknown heaven. These patterns operate on 3 lethal levels. First level, relationships. You always choose the same type of person with different clothes. The controller, the unavailable, the narcissist, the dependent. You think you are choosing, but you are actually being chosen by your unconscious standards. Second level, self-sabotage. Every time you're about to achieve something meaningful, you find a way to destroy yourself. You pick fights when you're happy, you procrastinate when you're making progress, you run away when you're being loved. Their patterns do not tolerate success because they have been programmed in pain. Third level, compulsive repetition. You repeat the same self-destructive choices expecting different results. This is not insanity, it is unconscious programming. Your patterns are trying to resolve old traumas through present situations, but using strategies that don't work. Jung revealed that these patterns are like ghosts from the past controlling your present. They carry the energy of unprocessed trauma, unhealed wounds, unlearned lessons. They will keep repeating themselves until you have the courage to look them in the face and ask, "What are you trying to teach me?" The good news is that patterns can be reprogrammed. But first you need to admit that they exist. You need to stop playing the victim of circumstances and recognize that you are the unconscious creator of your own prison. You need to take full responsibility for your life, including the parts you don't remember choosing. Breaking destructive patterns is like doing surgery on yourself without anesthesia. It hurts, but it's the only way to free yourself. You need to identify the pattern, trace its source, understand its function, and then consciously choose a different response. Even when every cell in your body is screaming at you to repeat the familiar behavior, Your standards are your cruelest and most effective teachers. They will keep tormenting you until you learn your lesson and graduate from this brutal school called life. 4. Shadow revealed. Do you want to meet your worst enemy? Look in the mirror. Carl Jung discovered that inside you there is a dark creature that you spend your whole life trying to deny, repress, and hide. This creature is your shadow, and it's sabotaging your life in ways you can't even imagine. Even worse, she's in control, and you don't even realize it. Your shadow is everything you reject in yourself. It is his repressed anger, his disguised envy, his denied manipulation, his hidden cowardice, his camouflaged cruelty. It is the collection of all aspects of your personality that you find unacceptable and that have been banished to the basement of your consciousness. Jung revealed a devastating truth. The more you deny your shadow, the more power it gains over you. It doesn't disappear when you ignore it, it becomes stronger. It operates behind the scenes of your life, influencing your choices, sabotaging your relationships, creating conflicts that you don't understand where they come from. Its shadow manifests itself through projection. You hate in other people exactly the flaws you have and don't want to admit it. That person who annoys you deeply, it is mirroring an aspect of your shadow. That behavior that revolts you in others, you do the same thing, only in a more subtle and disguised way. The shadow also manifests itself through compulsions. All those behaviors that you do and then regret, all those reactions that you have and don't understand where they came from, all those words that come out of your mouth and you think, who said that? It is your shadow taking temporary control of your personality. Jung discovered that his shadow contains not only his negative aspects, but also his repressed powers. You often reject powerful parts of yourself because they have been labeled as bad by society. Their natural aggressiveness was labeled as violence. His self-confidence was labeled as arrogance. His sensuality was labeled as promiscuity. The process of shadow integration is brutal but necessary. You need to stop pretending that you are a good person and admit that you are capable of cruelty. You need to stop pretending that you are generous and admit that you are capable of selfishness. You need to stop pretending that you are brave and admit that you are capable of cowardice. This is not a confession of guilt, it is a declaration of completeness. You are not just light, you are light and shadow. You are not only virtue, you are virtue and vice. You are not just love, you are love and hate. Accepting this doesn't make you a bad person, it makes you a real person. Jung taught that when you consciously integrate your shadow, it stops controlling you unconsciously. When you admit your capacity for evil, you gain power to choose good. When you recognize your destructive impulses, you can channel them constructively. Shadow integration is what separates mature people from childish people. Childish people believe they are pure and project all their darkness onto others. Mature people recognize their complexity and take responsibility for all aspects of their personality. Your shadow is not your enemy, it is your most honest teacher. It will continue to create chaos in your life until you have the courage to look at it and say, I see you, I accept you, and now we are going to work together. 5. Encoded messages. Your pain is speaking to you, but you don't know the language. Carl Jung discovered that each suffering is an encrypted message from your unconscious, a secret code that contains specific instructions for your evolution. The problem is that you are trying to read these codes with the logic of the conscious mind when they can only be decoded by the wisdom of the soul. Jung revealed that the unconscious communicates through symbols, not words. He speaks through symptoms, not explanations. He teaches through experiences, not theories. Every pain you feel is a meaning-laden symbol, a living metaphor that represents something much bigger than the superficial event that caused it. That betrayal that destroyed you wasn't about the person who betrayed you. It was about his compulsive need to give his power to others. That abandonment that broke you was not about who left you. It was about how you constantly abandon yourself. That rejection that humiliated you wasn't about not being accepted. It was about how you reject your own essence. The unconscious uses pain as a language because it is the only thing that can break through the defenses of your rational mind. You can ignore advice, you can deny truths, you can run away from responsibility, but you can't ignore pain. It forces you to stop, to pay attention, to question, to change. Jung identified 3 types of messages encoded in pain. Warning messages. Your soul has detected that you are going in the wrong direction and is sending out danger signals. Unexplained physical pain, constant anxiety, depression for no apparent reason are alarm bells ringing to warn you that you are betraying your true nature. Messages of correction. Your soul has identified self-destructive patterns and is creating situations that force you to confront them. Relationships that end the same way, recurring financial problems. Repetitive conflicts are attempts by the unconscious to show you where you need to grow. Initiation messages. Your soul has decided that you are ready for the next level and is creating crises that destroy your current identity so that a new one can be born. Devastating losses, forced changes, total collapses are rites of passage disguised as tragedies. The key to decoding these messages is to stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this trying to teach me?" Stop focusing on the external event and start investigating the internal pattern. Stop blaming circumstances and start taking responsibility for the energy you are emitting. Jung taught that when you learn the symbolic language of the unconscious, you stop being a victim of your experiences and become a decoder of your lessons. You begin to see that there is no chance, only synchronicity. There is no bad luck, only redirection. There is no punishment, only education. The decoding process requires you to develop a new form of perception. You need to learn to see beyond the surface of events and pick up on the energetic patterns behind them. You need to develop intuition to complement your logic, wisdom to balance your knowledge. Every pain you feel is a letter from your future self explaining to you what you need to do to get to it. But these letters are written in a language that can only be understood when you stop resisting and start collaborating with the process of transformation. Your coded messages are waiting to be deciphered. The question is, will you continue to suffer as a victim or will you start learning as a student? 6. Archetypes attacking. You think you're dealing with people, but you're actually being attacked by ancient forces. Carl Jung discovered that there are universal energy patterns called archetypes that operate through humans like psychic viruses, affecting relationships and creating dramas that have been repeating for thousands of years. You are not living your life, you're being possessed by these old forces. Jung identified that archetypes are like universal programs installed in the collective unconscious of humanity. They represent fundamental roles that human beings have played since the dawn of civilization: the hero, the victim, the tyrant, the savior, the destroyer, the devouring mother, the absent father, the traitorous lover. When you enter into relationships, you are not only interacting with the person's conscious personality, you are dealing with the archetypes that are operating through it. That narcissist who destroyed you was being possessed by the archetype of the tyrant. That dependent person who sucked you in was being controlled by the eternal victim archetype. The scariest thing is that you are also being possessed by archetypes, and most of the time you don't even realize it. You think you're making conscious choices, but you're actually playing ancestral roles. You become the compulsive savior trying to rescue everyone. You become the eternal rebel fighting against any authority. You become the professional victim blaming the world for your problems. Jung revealed that archetypes are activated through unhealed wounds. Your wound of abandonment activates the victim archetype. His wound of inadequacy activates the imposter archetype. His wound of betrayal activates the avenger archetype. These archetypes then take control of your personality and begin to create situations that confirm your limiting beliefs. Archetypes operate like psychic magnets. When you are possessed by the victim archetype, you attract people possessed by the aggressor archetype. When you are controlled by the savior archetype, you attract people controlled by the helpless victim archetype. It is like a cosmic theater where the same dramas are repeated endlessly. Liberation from destructive archetypes requires radical awareness. You need to learn to identify when you are being possessed by an archetypal force. You need to recognize the signs: compulsive behaviors, disproportionate reactions, repetitive patterns, feeling like you're playing a role you didn't choose. Jung taught that archetypes are not intrinsically good or bad, they are neutral. The problem arises when you completely identify with an archetype and lose your individuality. When you become just the mother, just the warrior, just the victim, you cease to be yourself. The process of individuation involves learning to consciously work with the archetypes rather than being possessed by them. You can access the warrior's strength when you need to fight for something important, but without becoming compulsively violent. You can activate the mother's energy when someone needs care, but without becoming obsessive controlling. The key is to develop what Jung called a strong ego, a core identity that can dance with archetypes without being dominated by them. You become the director of your own inner theater, consciously choosing which roles to play in each situation. When you understand that you are being attacked by archetypal forces, you stop taking conflicts personally and begin to see the universal patterns behind human dramas. You break free from the prison of archetypal identification and regain your individuality. 7. Strategic wounds. Her soul is a sadistic surgeon. She doesn't cut randomly, she chooses exactly where to make the incision to remove what's killing you from the inside. Carl Jung discovered that certain wounds are not accidents, they are surgical interventions of the soul. It hurts you strategically to save you from a life of falsehood and mediocrity. Jung revealed that some pains are so precise that they seem to have been planned by a higher intelligence. They attack exactly the points where you are most attached to your illusions. They destroy precisely the areas where you have built your false identity. They specifically blow up the parts of your life that are holding you back from real growth. That wound of abandonment that has haunted you since childhood, it has been strategically positioned to teach you emotional self-sufficiency. That betrayal that broke you in adulthood, it was surgically applied to destroy their pathological need for external approval. That humiliation that crushed you publicly, it was precisely calibrated to kill his inflated ego. His soul uses wounds like a scalpel to remove psychological tumors. It identifies where you are emotionally ill and then creates exactly the experience needed to cut out the infected part. It hurts like hell, but it's the only way to heal you from patterns that were slowly consuming you. Jung identified that strategic wounds always strike three critical areas. First, their unhealthy attachments. Your soul will destroy everything to which you are neurotically attached. Relationships based on dependency, careers based on ego, identities based on external approval. She'd rather leave you with nothing than leave you with something that's poisoning you. Second, its obsolete defenses. Your soul will break down all the defense mechanisms you developed to survive in the past, but that are now preventing you from living in the present. Your need for control, your tendency to run away, your compulsion to please. It will create situations where these defenses don't work until you are forced to develop new strategies. Third, their limiting beliefs. Your soul will attack all the stories you tell about yourself that keep you small. I'm not worthy of love. I'm worthless. I can't trust anyone. It will create experiences that force you to question these narratives and discover who you really are underneath them. The process of healing through strategic wounds is brutal because your soul has no patience for gentle methods. She knows that you will resist change. She will cling to the familiar. She will choose known suffering over unknown growth. So she uses pain as leverage to force you to let go of what needs to be released. Jung taught that strategic wounds are always accompanied by hidden gifts. The wound of abandonment teaches you emotional independence. The wound of betrayal teaches you discernment. The wound of rejection teaches you self-acceptance. The wound of humiliation teaches you genuine humility. Each cut of the soul contains the antidote to a specific toxin of your personality. Resistance to the strategic wound prolongs suffering. When you fight against the surgery of the soul, you turn a quick intervention into a prolonged agony. When you accept that pain has a purpose, you collaborate with the process and accelerate healing. Their strategic wounds are not punishments, they are brutal gifts. They are your soul's way of freeing you from prisons you didn't even know existed. They are interventions of tough love from a force that knows you better than you know yourself. The question is not, why did this have to happen? The question is, what is my soul trying to remove from me? Stop resisting surgery. Trust the surgeon. 8. Soul test. Your soul is a relentless examiner and you're taking a test you didn't know you'd applied for. Carl Jung discovered that life is a continuous test where your soul checks to see if you are ready for the next level of consciousness. Every crisis is a question of the exam. Every trauma is a practical test. Every moment of pain is your soul asking, have you learned the lesson, or do I need to repeat the material? Jung revealed that his soul operates as a brutal educational system. It does not accept memorized answers, it demands real understanding. It is not satisfied with superficial changes, it demands deep transformation. She does not tolerate pretense, she demands radical authenticity. And she will continue to apply the same test until you actually pass. The soul test has 3 distinct phases. Phase 1, resistance. Your soul presents you with a challenge and watches how you react. Do you run away? Do you blame others? Do you play the victim? Do you deny reality? If you fail this phase, she increases the intensity and repeats the test. It will keep climbing the difficulty until you stop resisting and start facing. Phase 2, confrontation. Your soul forces you to look directly at what you're trying to avoid. It removes all your escape routes, breaks all your defense mechanisms, destroys all your distractions. You are bound to come face to face with your shadow, your fears, your limitations. There is nowhere to hide. Phase 3, integration. Your soul watches to see if you can incorporate the lesson into your real life. It is not enough to understand intellectually. You need to demonstrate behavioral change. It's not enough to talk about growth. You need to live differently. It will create situations that test whether the transformation is genuine or just theatrical. The cruelest thing is that your soul knows exactly where you are weak and will attack precisely where you are most vulnerable. If you are afraid of abandonment, it will create situations of separation. If you're afraid of failure, it will put you in positions where you can fail publicly. If you are afraid of rejection, it will expose you to judgmental situations. Jung discovered that his soul uses 3 types of tests. Endurance tests. How much suffering can you endure without breaking? Character tests. Will you maintain your integrity even under extreme pressure? Tests of wisdom. Can you draw profound lessons from painful experiences? Most people fail the soul test because they interpret the questions wrong. They think the test is about getting what they want, when in fact it's about becoming who they need to be. They think the test is about avoiding pain, when in fact it's about turning pain into wisdom. Your soul is not interested in your comfort, it is interested in your evolution. She doesn't want you to be happy, she wants you to be real. She doesn't care about her plans, she cares about her potential. And it will keep testing you until you demonstrate that you are ready to live from your deepest truth. The soul test has no graduation date. It is a continuous process of refinement where each level conquered reveals new challenges. But when you understand that you are being tested, you stop being a victim and become a student. You stop resisting the questions and start looking for the answers. Your soul is testing you right now. The question is, will you continue to fail, or will you finally pass the year? 9. Forced awakening. Your soul has lost patience with you. She tried to whisper, you ignored it. She tried to signal, you pretended you didn't see it. She tried to push gently, you resisted. Now it will drag you by the hair to awaken, even if it means destroying everything you believe to be your life. Carl Jung discovered that when you refuse to evolve voluntarily, your soul activates the emergency protocol, forced awakening. Jung revealed that there is a breaking point where your soul decides that kindness is not working. She stops asking permission and starts acting unilaterally. It will create a crisis so devastating that you will have no choice but to wake up. It'll be like taking an electric shock to the consciousness, painful but effective. Forced awakening always begins with total collapse. Your soul will systematically tear down all the structures of your life that are based on falsehood. Relationships that were theater will explode. Careers that were prison will fall apart. Identities that were masks will be shattered. It will leave you naked, vulnerable, with nowhere to hide. This collapse is not punishment, it is preparation. Your soul knows that you won't willingly abandon the things that keep you small. You're going to cling to your destructive patterns, your limiting beliefs, your toxic relationships because they're familiar. Then it removes everything at once so that you are forced to rebuild from the truth. Jung identified 3 signs that the forced awakening is coming. First, accumulation of disturbing synchronicities. Your soul begins to send more and more obvious signals through coincidences that are impossible to ignore. Repetitive numbers, casual encounters, events that seem orchestrated by an invisible force. Second, intensification of unexplained physical and emotional symptoms. Your soul uses the body as a last resort for communication. Mysterious illnesses, extreme anxiety, deep depression, chronic insomnia. Your body is screaming that something needs to change radically in your life. Third, simultaneous collapse of multiple areas of life. Your soul coordinates a controlled implosion where everything falls apart at the same time. Relationship ends, job ends, health fails, money disappears. It's as if the universe conspires to take you out of all your comfort zones simultaneously. The forced awakening is brutal because your soul has no time for subtleties. She has detected that you are wasting your life, betraying your potential, living like an emotional zombie. It would rather break you completely than let you rot in a mediocre existence. During the forced awakening, you will feel as if you are going crazy. Everything you believed about yourself, about life, about the world will be questioned. You will go through a psychological death where your old identity dies so that a new one can be born. It's like being reborn at 30, 40, 50 years old. Jung taught that forced awakening is always followed by a period of conscious reconstruction. After your soul finishes the demolition, it gives you the tools to build an authentic life. But now you have to consciously choose every brick, every decision, every relationship based on your real truth, not on the expectations of others. Resistance to forced awakening only prolongs the agony. When you accept that your old life needs to die so that your true life can be born, you collaborate with the process instead of fighting it. You become your soul's partner instead of its victim. Your forced awakening is not a tragedy, it is a birth. Painful as every birth, but necessary. Your soul loves you too much to let you sleep forever. It will wake you up, even if it has to use a hammer. 10. Power through pain. Congratulations, you survived hell. Now comes the most important part, turning your scars into superpowers. Carl Jung discovered that pain is not just a destructive experience. It is an energy powerhouse that can be converted into the most powerful fuel for your evolution. Each wound you carry is a source of power waiting to be activated. Jung revealed that people who have gone through deep traumas and consciously integrated them develop abilities that normal people will never have. They gain a keen perception of human nature, an extraordinary emotional endurance, a wisdom that can only be acquired through conscious suffering. Your pain has given you gifts that you can't even imagine. That brutal betrayal taught you how to read people with surgical precision. That devastating abandonment forced you to develop real emotional independence. That public humiliation gave you genuine humility and compassion for others. Each trauma was a specialized school where you graduated in specific aspects of the human experience. The process of transforming pain into power requires 3 fundamental alchemies. First alchemy, transforming victimization into responsibility. You stop blaming circumstances and take full control over your response to events. You become the author of your story instead of a passive character in it. Second alchemy, transforming wounds into wisdom. You draw profound lessons from each painful experience and use that knowledge to better navigate through life. Your scars become maps that help you avoid pitfalls and identify opportunities that others can't see. Third alchemy, transforming suffering into service. You use your experience of pain to help others who are going through similar situations. Your wound becomes your calling, your trauma becomes your mission, your healing becomes your gift to the world. Jung taught that people who complete this transformation become what he called healed wounded. They bear the mark of pain, but they also radiate a strength that can only come from those who have descended into hell and back. They become beacons for others who are still lost in darkness. Power through pain is not about forgetting what happened or pretending it wasn't important. It's about fully integrating the experience and using the energy it has generated to become a more powerful version of yourself. It's about honoring your journey by turning it into fuel for your evolution. Your pain has given you access to frequencies of consciousness that people who have never suffered deeply cannot reach. It has connected you with aspects of the human experience that are invisible to those who live on the surface. It has initiated you into mysteries that can only be understood through direct experience. Jung discovered that true power comes not from the absence of pain, but from the ability to transform pain into wisdom, trauma into strength, wounds into gifts. Truly powerful people are not those who have never been broken. They are those who have consciously rebuilt themselves using the fragments of their destruction. You are no longer the person you were before the pain. You are someone stronger, wiser, more real. Your soul got what it wanted, to destroy who you pretended to be, to reveal who you really are. Now you have a choice. Use that power to elevate yourself, or squander it by regretting the past. Her pain was her greatest teacher. Your scars are your credentials. His suffering was his training. Now it's time to use everything you've learned to live the extraordinary life your soul always knew you were capable of living. The power is in your hands. The question is, what are you going to do with it?